And we're live!
Hi!
Oh my
It's
gosh.
alive!
Come play with us, chatters. Come play with us.
Come on in. The Furby awaits you.
And Chikawa.
And Chikawa.
Yay!
We're here, we're queer, we're full of cheer. Let's go. Oh, I'm feeling so ecstatic to be here and to play games with you and talk about all of the queerness and all the horror.
Yes. This is a special interest of mine, so I'm like rubbing my hands together deviously. I'm like, yes, I get to talk about something I love.
Rubs hands like flies.
Exactly. That is literally. I know nobody can see my hands, but that is exactly what I was doing.
Rubs hands like flies. I'm so ready. Mm.
I'm delighted. I was just catching up on some video essays about this topic recently, now that it's spooky season, so.
Heck yeah. We live, laugh, love. We live, laugh, love, honestly. So, I actually have a little introduction for us.
Yay!
So, welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, ghouls, gays, theys, fays, to the queer stream. Tonight, we're diving into the haunted crossroads where LGBTQIA2S plus history and horror collide. From vampires as sapphic icons to slasher villains as coded queer outsiders. We're unpacking it all. And of course, it is October, so it is spooky season, Halloween, and LGBTQIA2S plus history month. So, what better time to dive on into the queer, horror, and history?
Yahoo!
So exciting. We are here with the absolutely slay amazing Battle Kale.
Hello! That's me. How's it going, everybody?
Kale, would you like to introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, what you typically stream, all that good stuff?
My name is Kale, Battle Kale online, and I myself am strange and unusual. I am a queer final girl VTuber, and I mostly do horror, mostly, but I must admit I'm terrified of it. So it's all a facade that I'm brave enough to play Outlast. But my pronouns are on my little pin right here on my, I guess, bare belly. I use bun he pronouns. If you don't know how to use bun pronouns, just use he him. I'm okay with that. But it's a good time to learn.
Slay. Yes. If I may, I can also use an example. Bun uses bun pronouns.
Yeah.
So if you want to try them out, feel free to. And if you would like us to help you out, you're more than free to ask in chat as well.
Of course. This is a great space to learn. A tip that helps some of my friends is pretend like it's a name.
Mm-hmm.
And just use it as you would a name. Helps get you in the right headspace.
Yeah. So, as is tradition here in the Cub Arcade, we always start our events off with an icebreaker called Two Truths, One Lie.
Oh my
Are
goodness.
you familiar? Are you familiar, Kale?
This was a game that we would play on the bus for school trips.
It indeed is. I love Two Truths and a Lie. It helps us all open up. Thank you, Malagay. So, Two Truths and a Lie. If you don't know how it works, we will say 3 statements, 2 of which are the truth, 1 of which is a big ol' stinky lie.
Does it have to be stinky?
I mean, it can be clean if you would like to, but mine are pretty stinky.
We'll need some Febreze here.
So, I know I typically spring this on people. So, Kale, if you would like, I can definitely go first to give you some time.
Yeah,
If you
I'll
would like
take a second here to type in my little
Slay amazing.
notepad.
So we can definitely do this together. So I'm going to be saying my 3 statements, and chat, if you would like to, you are more than free to go ahead and try and guess which one it is.
My chat will be really good at this. I'm a big fibber, so only in
big
reasonable
fibber.
spaces, mind you.
So, for my my 2 truths and a lie, for my first statement, before becoming a VTuber, I actually wanted to become a mortician.
Ooh, spooky.
Mhm. For my second statement, I actually have been a coach for football and wrestling
Ooh.
at a high school level.
These are both very interesting.
And then for my final little statement, before becoming a VTuber, I was actually a drag queen with a pretty sizable following.
Oh, I believe them all. I wholeheartedly believe all of that. Uh-oh. Gosh, that's tough.
I can give you an easy one.
Am I allowed to ask one question?
Sure.
What area of expertise in the mortician career? Am I allowed to ask that, or is that too?
Yeah, you can. So in the mortician, it'd be more so mortician slash funeral director. I wanted to run my own sort of business.
If that's true, that is beautiful. If it's not true, you're foul. No.
Maybe.
Oh my
I did say it would
gosh.
be a little stinky.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that you were not a drag queen. And I really do not feel confident in that answer.
All right. Are you certain? Final guess? Final guess? What are we thinking? What are we thinking, Chad?
Because your mortician answer was vague enough that it still could be true. But I don't know if that would gross you out or not. I don't know if all the chemicals would gross you out. Well, and the fact that there's corpses involved. I could certainly believe drag. I do know that you have an appreciation for drag, but I don't know if you have ever participated in the art. And I do know that you've got some muscle, so I'd believe wrestling too. Gosh,
Okay.
I don't know. I almost wanted to say that wrestling wasn't true, but I think that one is true.
Okay.
So
Maybe
watch
that
me
was
be
like a little
stupid.
trick.
I'm betting it's
tricky by saying wrestling and football.
See, honestly, I can believe football too, because football and wrestling are not as far apart as people think they are. But that's because I know a little bit about wrestling and about football, much less so about football, but I don't know. It's between drag queen and mortician. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say mortician because I feel like to be a mortician you need a chemistry degree, and I don't know if you have that.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and base it in as serious and baseline of reality as I can. A chemistry degree takes at least 5 years.
It do.
It's.
I did graduate in 5 years.
Did you? Well, I had honestly just. I don't know.
I did.
I'm gonna stick with mortician though. That's my final answer.
Mortician, final answer?
Mortician, final answer. I'm so wrong, Chad. I'm so wrong, and I've accepted that.
So, you should have trusted your gut.
I should have trusted my gut.
did in fact want to become
Oh my
a mortician
gosh.
slash funeral director. I
Darn.
wanted to create my own business called Fantasy Funerals, where we would put together celebrations of life
Yeah.
that were a little bit more eccentric for children and whimsical folks who have passed.
That's beautiful.
And I am actually very, very comfortable with the macabre, with the embalming process and everything. Um, which is very funny because I am also very pink and very
I
pastel.
love that
So you step
though.
into that, you step into a funeral home and you're like, oh hi. I'm like, hi. Nails on.
You know, I love that. I love that a lot. I really do.
I really did want to become one. Before I started to major in business administration. So I did graduate in 5 years, but I graduated with a degree in business administration.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then the second one, I was a coach. I did coach both wrestling and football because I played both sports in high school. I was
Mhm.
pretty good at them as well. I have a CAF title for wrestling, and I also have a second team all league patch for football. So
See, that one
I
made
was pretty
sense to
decent
me.
about.
That one made sense to
Um,
me.
I do love and appreciate the art of drag. You're very correct. However, I was never a drag queen.
I really should have gone with
Unfortunately.
my heart there. Oh my gosh.
I love drag. I'm gonna be watching Dragula tonight. Actually,
Oh
Dragula
my
Titans
gosh, I'm
season
so
2.
behind. But I love Dracula.
So
I
good,
love it.
so good.
There was oh my gosh, I don't remember what they call it, but it was like a punishment of sorts last year where
Mm-hmm.
they did a tattoo on somebody and it was the
Discrimination.
funniest fucking thing.
Yup.
It was the funniest
Oh my
thing.
god, goodness.
It was so funny.
It's so funny because I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that thing so much. I think it's so silly. It's so funny. And I know exactly what you're talking about too when you're talking about the tattoo. And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I also love the Boulet brothers. What talent. What talent.
Honestly, so
Mhm.
gorge too.
The most beautiful twins.
Pyoyandra. So, Kale, are you ready for your two truths and a
I
lie?
am. It took me a minute because I have a couple weird ones. But
Mm-hmm.
I decided I was gonna go with a slightly more spooky theme because not only are we doing an interview or a discussion about the macabre, but that's also
Mm-hmm.
what my fans are used to, so they might know the answers. Um, okay, so my first one. I am the
Mm-hmm.
child of paranormal investigators that were featured on the news.
Ooh.
That's the first one. The second one.
Okay, okay.
I was an archivist for the Smithsonian Art Museum in DC.
Tea.
And my third one, I was a scare actor for 1 year only at a park that no longer exists.
Okay.
Interesting ones here, sorry.
Very interesting. Um, if I remember correctly, I believe one of these may have popped up before in conversation.
Probably.
I'm gonna do one that I really hope is true,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say the first one. But
The
you
paranormal
are correct.
investigators.
The paranormal investigators.
You think that's a lie?
Yes.
I have
I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. Let me be wrong.
I have great news for you.
Am I wrong?
You are wrong. My mom and
Yes.
dad were the lead paranormal investigators for a group that I will not name for the privacy of my family.
Of
Um,
course.
but the lead like the creator of the group,
Mm-hmm.
she created the group, and then she invited my mom and dad to be the lead investigators. And
Ooh.
they were on the news at a library in Colorado, with
Oh.
the news reporter, like the host, and he
Uh-huh.
and they did a paranormal investigation, and they were also in the paper once for finding video evidence of a ghost.
That's so
I plan
cool.
on doing a whole interview in the future for a show I've not announced or anything yet, but I plan to do more with that.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay. So my second guess was number 2, was the second one, the
I was an
Smithsonian.
archivist for the Smithsonian Art Museum in DC, and that
Mm-hmm.
is false. I was going to be an archivist, and then I was disabled by my disability, and it made it very hard for me to work. So I
Hmm.
sadly put that aside, and I now do VTubing full time.
Oh,
It's fun.
little bit of sweet, but
It's a little bittersweet, but I'm
so
I'm happy here.
I did remember you mentioning the you mentioning the last one, the scare actor,
I I I
in
remembered after I said it
conversation.
that you and I talked about that park. we had we had strong words about that park,
Mm-hmm.
or I had strong words. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember if you did, but no, that the theme park that I worked for is getting shut down. I don't know,
Thankfully,
just in my state, but I didn't like that place.
period.
And I care deeply about the safety of the public. So, so yeah, there you go.
Period. Slay.
I've had a lot of
That
spooky
was
things in my
such a
life.
fun. I love that. I love that. I
I love
love
it
that
too.
for
It's
you.
fun.
Thank you for playing this little icebreaker.
Yes, of
So
course.
now, diving straight in, do you have a first horror memory that made you feel seen, even if it was just a little scary?
Hmm. I will answer that in 5 seconds when I switch me from chatting to gaming. Okay, here we go. Oh, I didn't even have my game selected. Embarrassing. There we go. Okay. I just wanted to like have Minecraft open and make that transition now so it doesn't interrupt us later. With the full disclosure to my chat real fast that I might just end up spacing out and kind of staring off vaguely into the distance in game. I'm okay, don't worry about it. Um, so, I know this is gonna sound super strange, but when I was watching Child's Play for the very
Okay.
first time, for those that don't know, that
Child's
is
Play
the movie with
regular or
Chucky.
Child's Play like one of the sequels?
I was watching Bride of Chucky,
Okay.
which is my favorite. Jennifer Tilly is a very funny actress. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the
She's Slay.
character of Tiffany Valentine. Those who know, and those who don't, I'm going to tell you. There is, oh gosh, I think it's right when she's introduced, actually. There's a scene where she's in her little, like, trailer park, or not trailer park, but, her little trailer, and it's super cute and decorated with all the pentagrams and, darkness all over in the spider webs. And she's got this, goth person over that she bosses around, and then she ends up summoning Chucky back into the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about her that I was like, damn, that's me. That's what I want to be in my life. Like, just in general. But then the okay, this is where it gets really weird, and I'm sorry. The scene where she's in the bath and Chucky kills her and puts her in the doll. Um, and this is gonna go into a better direction, I promise. The scene where she's making over the doll and she like puts on the black lipstick and the eyeliner and she like does her hair and she cuts up the dress. That's where I saw myself for the first time. I was like, yup, that's me. Like a lot of people they'll joke about like having their sexual awakening with like Tinkerbell or something, and I'm like, no, I had my awakening period with Tiffany from Child's Play.
Period.
I was conscious that
No,
day.
Tiff, like, oh, as much as I love that for you, honestly, though. I really do love that. I think, for me, I like to say that my moment, definitely was very similarly in, what do you call it? Flibble, flibble, flabble, flabble.
I love that
Um,
movie.
yeah, so we love flibble, flibble, flabble, flabble.
hmm
Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Nightmare on Elm Street 2. There we go.
Oh,
Nightmare on
uh-huh.
Elm Street 2.
I know what you're talking about.
Mm,
I feel you. Nightmare on Elm Street's such
let's
a
just
good
say,
series.
honestly, and it's so weird.
It is.
So
The
weird.
phone, do you know what I'm talking about when I say the phone?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I know Wes Craven really did not like his sequels. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, no, same. I honestly think it's so funny that as one of the first, in layman's terms, what are they called? Final the one of the first final boys
Mm-hmm.
in horror history. It's just iconic. Literally iconic.
Mm.
I don't know what other word to use,
Yeah.
but seeing him in a crop top,
Oh, Glenn in the crop top. Goodness, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
exactly. And then I'm like, why don't we wear these anymore?
There is a reason why Johnny Depp was the it boy for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Physical attractiveness will get you far.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And that crop top did some of the work.
It did a lot of work. It did be doing that work.
What
It
a
did be doing that work.
fantastic movie to bring up, though. Because honestly,
Exactly.
that movie, I hear it get brought up all the time when it comes to, the discussion of the intersection between sexuality and horror. Because that movie
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
explores it.
Exactly. And I think it's also solely because when we talk about, oh, pardon me, movies like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, right? We talk about how that that trope of being the final girl,
hmm
they were like, well, why don't we do it with a guy? But they didn't change anything. They
Exactly.
said, let's do it with the guy, but we'll just do everything else the same. And
hmm
I think they didn't understand the inherent queerness that would be felt.
hmm
But I mean, honestly, that really is a good
Revolutionary.
segue to our next question, which is, who is your favorite horror icon?
I have a couple answers. So,
Okay. What?
when you first, sent over the questions just so I could take a look over them, so I wasn't blindsided or anything, which by the way, thank you.
Of
Um,
course,
I
of
was looking
course.
over it and I was like, oh God, I don't know how I'm gonna answer that because like horror is such a big genre with so many little subsections in it that it's like, oh gosh, I can't pick. Like, are you talking about my favorite final girl, my favorite, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many answers. But I was recently rewatching Scream, the whole Scream
Okay.
series up to 5 because I don't like 5. Um, and I'm sorry, I have strong opinions. But and it,
You're a-okay.
as I was watching it, I was like, you know what? This is my answer. Sydney Prescott. Sydney Prescott's that bitch.
Period. Period.
I
No, but
love
really,
Sydney.
she is.
All that shit she goes through. I love Sydney. And like there are
We love
certainly
Sydney.
other answers. Like I could tell you my favorite slasher, I could tell you my favorite like final girl, I could tell you my favorite, whatever. But I think overall Sydney Prescott takes the cake.
No, honestly, like I think Sydney has something so unique about her as well that
Hmm.
is kind of just like how do I even describe it? Like
She stands out.
yes, as a final girl, she is probably the final girl. When you talk about, final girls within horror media, she is brought up almost immediately because
Yes,
of
she's
how
the
iconic she
blueprint.
is. Mm-hmm.
And she's not the first, but she is the blueprint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Important distinction.
Exactly. Exactly. And so talking about Scream, who would you categorize? Or wait, actually, you said you had multiple answers for the favorite horror icon, right? I don't want to skip over.
Well,
I'm willing to
I
hear.
mean if you don't mind. So when it comes to my favorite slasher,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking classics. As much as I
Mm-hmm.
love the new movies, I'm talking classics because I'm a snob. I have to be honest. I'm a little bit of a snob. Um, my favorite slasher is, and this is really controversial, not Michael Myers. It is hello, brain.
Mm-hmm.
Freddy
Oh.
Krueger. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I like
Mm-hmm.
forgot everything as soon as I started talking. I think Ghostface is
Oh.
a fantastic contender, but the inherent issue with Ghostface is that it's not one person. So it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
say it's my favorite
Mm-hmm.
slasher because I'm really just talking about like the costume at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say Freddy's my favorite slasher. Um,
Okay. All right.
my favorite final girl. This is a also a bit of a strange, controversial answer. It is Ashley J. Williams from the Evil Dead series.
Oh.
And I know he's a
Okay.
final boy technically, but I think it's kind of funny to call him a final girl. um, and then
Final girl.
overall, Sydney Prescott. My favorite horror monsters, Killer Clowns.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Valid. So valid.
Yes. Yes.
Literally iconic.
So there are my
One of my
answers.
favorite movies. I love that for you, though. I love that for you. And honestly, I think being able to explore these different, these different genres within horror, right? Like we talk about slashers, we talk about killers, we talk about final girl, final person,
Hmm.
um, I really do enjoy that we talk about these things because it brings up such a different directive when we talk about them, that there's so many different options for people to talk about,
Oh
right?
yeah. It's a very expansive, I think is the word I'll choose, genre. And
Definitely,
I'd
definitely.
love to hear your answers. I know that this is like talking to me, but like I'd love to know still if you want to share.
Little me,
Oh
little
you,
me, little
yes.
me. Oh me,
I'm
oh
nosy.
my, oh me.
I'm nosy. I want to know.
So, I definitely do have a few, of my own, a few of my own. So my favorite horror icon in general is, as surprise, 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 Pennywise. Um,
We love clowns.
I I love clowns. I love the clownery. And I like Pennywise in general. I don't know what it is.
Do you have a
I am just
preference between the Pennywises? The Pennywise, if you
actually
will.
the Pennywisest. I actually really enjoy modern Penny.
Bill
Um,
Skarsgård.
mm-hmm.
Very
I
talented.
mean, yes. I mean, obviously, Oh my goodness, fucking. Tell me why I was about to say Dr. Frankenfurter.
Hey, true
I
though.
mean,
I'm changing my answer
um,
retroactively. Dr. Frankenfurter,
but
100% of the way. Tim Curry.
Tim Curry played an iconic Penny.
Oh,
I
yes.
think they are so different in the ways that they're both presented, the ways that they're both played. While being the
Yeah,
same character, they're not the same. And I
yeah.
love that. And I don't think I can really classify them together if I'm being honest. But I do really like the work that Bill did as Pennywise
Hmm.
in the newer version of it.
Hmm.
And Tim Curry, icon in general, right?
Right.
Like when we talk about these different things, I'm thinking old school versus new school.
Right.
Old school slasher would definitely be also like Freddy Krueger, Chucky. Those are my top twos. But newer is Pennywise 100% all the way.
Hmm.
And
The
my
design's really clever
reasoning,
too.
the design is so wonderfully done. The ruffles, the attention to detail in clownery as well,
Oh,
the
yes.
iconic face paint, and the nose with the chipper teeth as
Hmm.
well. I think it's such a nice twist because it adds a bit of whimsy, and it's also a little bit of like you see these different design elements, right? And you see them all separately and you're like, oh, cute, fun, whimsy. But then putting them together with that white and red color scheme really just like spookifies it. And you're like,
It's
oh,
unsettling.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's what makes me really enjoy. But speaking of Dr. Frankenfurter and speaking of Tim Curry, um, who would you categorize as the queerest horror icon?
I think it would be really hard not to say Frankenfurter, especially because we did just bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually gonna say something kind of like, I don't know if you'd agree. I'm gonna say
Okay.
Frankenstein's monster.
Okay. Yes. I can see it. I can see it. I can definitely see it.
Um, in the novel by Mary Shelley and the more popularized Universal owned property, I would
Mm-hmm.
say that Frankenstein's monster is perhaps the queerest, followed incredibly closely behind by Frankenfurter, played by Tim Curry in Rocky Horror, which is so funny to say
I
because they
mean,
are
both
vastly different.
Frankens.
They are so opposite from each other.
Oh, 100%, which I think is so funny as well. And
Hmm.
in that they also are both Franken, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
They both are, these quote unquote mad scientists as characters
yeah,
that create life.
yeah,
One maybe a little bit more for pleasure, or depending on how you see it, maybe equally pleasure.
yes. I think the story of Frankenstein, and you know, Frankenstein the title and Frankenstein's monster the characters, um,
Mm-hmm.
the entire novel and byproduct the film, um,
Yes.
it's about creation, and it's about not knowing who you are and finding yourself. It's about
Mm-hmm.
being put in a box and having to figure out if you fit in that box and if you want to break out of that box, and then what happens when you do break out of that box.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that really comes to mind for me is, the very sad ending of the Universal owned film, where they've got their fire and pitchforks and the windmill burns down,
Mm-hmm.
because a very sad truth of queerness as a whole is a lot of people are very horrible. And especially for those who live in perhaps more conservative or perhaps less accepting spaces,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling rings quite strongly, quite true to those
Hmm.
people.
Exactly. And Kyo, I'm gonna interrupt you just a little bit, because we are definitely going to be diving a lot more into the queerness of the original Frankenstein and
Would
of
love.
queerness and monstrosity in general.
Hmm.
So I definitely want to keep that and keep that thought going. But speaking of Frankenstein, and the original Frankenstein, the movie, talking about how it was made in a time in which the Hays Code was prevalent. And so our
Yes.
next question is, do you know what the Hays Code is? And if so, would you be willing to give a little bit of what it is?
I do. So mind you, I will be very, very clear right now that I do have a page up right now so that I can get the dates correct. So for those that just saw me tab out on my stream, I'm not cheating. I'm just making sure I get the years correct because I have dyscalculia, okay? Um, so the Hays Code was sort of guidelines, it was rules put in place in 1930 to mm, limit, I guess, to control perhaps what could be put in films and how. And the Hays Code
Hmm.
very specifically said absolutely not to, quote, sexual perversion. And
Hmm.
their definition of sexual perversion included homosexuality. Um, and it basically said, obviously this is not exactly what it said because I don't have the actual Hays Code up in front of me, which Chewu, if you would like to clarify or interrupt or anything, feel free. But it basically meant there couldn't be any, you know, good characters that were queer coded. Something had to get them out of the film, or something had to happen as a punishment for the sexual perversion that they, quote, sexual perversion, I don't believe that, um, that they would participate in.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. So basically, yeah, the Hays Code was, this strict set of laws, the sort of prohibition of any sort of quote unquote sexual perversion, as you had said previously. But the reason why they used the term sexual perversion was so that it could be as vague as possible, right? So that they could say, well, actually, we classify this as sexual perversion. Well, actually, we're going to classify this also as sexual
Uh,
perversion. And it was done loosely, purposefully, and though not explicitly mentioned, it included homosexuality. And with that being said, they had to try and find those subtle ways of including the LGBT characters, which is where we see a lot of some of the first forms of queer coding coming around, as we see LGBTQIA plus characters represented through these series of negative stereotypes and
mm,
exaggerated mannerisms, and which is also where we get that sort of villain-esque oh my goodness, what is the word, archetype, right? Like their stereotype, the villain stereotype, where they have to be, flamboyant, so over the top,
mhm.
with the way they dress, the way they talk, their evil plans, all rooted in queerness. And so before we go a little bit further on, obviously we can answer this a little bit more or a little bit more later if you would like to. But do you think, Kale, do you think horror has historically harmed or helped queer people, or maybe a little bit of both?
A little bit of both is what I'd say. It When you yourself are queer, you instinctually, as a human being, and this is my psychology interest coming out, you crave to be like others. You crave to find yourself in others. And so, a lot of queer people. I don't want to say like queer kids because obviously everybody watches movies.
Hmm.
Queer people would watch these films and they'd find themselves in these villains and they'd go, "That's somebody like me on the screen."
Hmm.
And that could help them. But that being said, seeing that person die at the end of the movie or get set ablaze or, get thrown down a cliff, that hurts. That hurts. And the public perception of those traits being encouraged, I'll say, by movies that abided by the Hays Code, definitely does not. I mean, I hate to say it doesn't make people look good because that's a very subjective thing, but it did harm the public view of queerness because if you're acting all sly and elegant and maybe a bit flamboyant and you
Hmm.
turn dramatically in your chair while petting your white cat, someone's gonna be like, wow, you remind me of a Bond villain. And then that might lead to distrust, or that might lead to, harmful stereotypes being accentuated or yeah, enforced, maybe. So I guess it it
Definitely,
it, de-
definitely.
it depends on how you appreciate films. And I think it very strongly depends on if you yourself are queer in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that also has a lot to do with, a lot of the differences in media as well, right? Like when we talk about these different medias and these different sources, we inherently, even without thinking about it, we go straight to a hetero sort of dynamic.
Hmm.
Even as queer folks,
Oh yeah,
a lot of us go inherently to the hetero dynamic where we talk a lot about these different things happening.
hmm,
Whether we're talking about, like, oh, did you hear about that couple? Saying root words like that, inherently, so many folks think of heteronormative topics,
yeah,
which isn't necessarily wrong. It's just something that happens.
yeah,
It's something we've learned from early on, and going forward, it's something that is enrooted inside of us as people, as humans, as we're growing up, which is why I'm such a heavy advocate for more LGBT history and studies, which is why we have, streams like this.
hmm. It's a very important
And
history
so,
to learn.
exactly, exactly. And so, going a little bit forward, since we will touch a little bit more on that in the more of the queer history side, have you ever heard of the movie Dracula's Daughter?
I have, but I have not had the delight of watching it myself. I've seen clips, I've
It's
seen photos, haven't sat and watched it myself.
When I tell you this movie is gay,
Well, you said Dracula and daughter in the same sentence. Vampirism.
yes, yes, yes. And that actually leads me to our next little question, which is, do you know what vampires represent within history and within just like their symbolization in general?
I do know that it differs quite heavily depending on the
Mm-hmm.
area. Romanian vampires and westernized vampires and Asian vampires, specifically in Chinese culture, are all so incredibly different.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
but typically, at the very least in the modern age, they tend to represent sensuality and giving into lust. And I
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
typically because there are always exceptions. Um, in the 2025 film Sinners, for example, loved that movie. It does not necessarily have a sensual vampire. There are scenes that include sensual vampires, but it more so emphasizes toxic community and the desire to have.
Hmm.
But I think it's fair to say most vampires represent desire in one way, shape, or form. Um,
Yes,
Now, I'm
definitely.
I'm sure I'm missing some things. I actually don't know how um, it would connect specifically to the queer community. So if you could help fill in some gaps, question
Yeah,
mark?
of course, of course. So what I have written down, I mean, at the very least, obviously, like those are a lot of different things that vampires are said to represent.
Hmm.
Most specifically, I'm going to be in reference to sort of modern vampirism, which are said to represent within queerness and horror, symbolizing repression of sexuality, specifically within
Oh,
queer desire. And so,
that
one
makes
of the
sense.
examples I can give being Twilight. When we
Oh
look
my
at the
gosh.
Cullens and how
Mm-hmm.
they have repressed themselves, right, from their vampiric nature as being quote unquote vegetarians. When we see them going so deeply into this ingrained culture that Carlisle has given them, that they are now believing like, hey, I cannot do this, whether it's whether it is wrong or whether it's whatever. It's fully based, within Stephanie Meyer's world,
Hmm.
but from an outsider's perspective looking in to the Cullens, we see them as vampires, as what
Hmm.
we know vampires to be.
Yeah.
As, bloodthirsty. They usually go after, humans. And so seeing these vampires being so repressed and seeing them in this sort of, different spotlight, almost romanticizing them,
Hmm.
can be such a heavy, heavy symbol for specifically repression. We can see it kind of in Edward, not only with Edward, obviously, if you haven't watched or read Twilight, Edward's backstory is that he was Mormon. And so this has a
I
lot to
did not
do
know that.
with yeah, so this has
That's
a
so
lot to do with
interesting,
how he
actually.
treats Bella.
Yeah.
Um, especially within the movies, if knowing that little tidbit and seeing how off he is and how, he's not acting like a quote unquote, typical um a typical heterosexual male, can be equated to both his Mormonism, his regret, and his vampirism,
That is
which can be
so
seen as a
crazy.
repression.
And you know what? Another absolutely fantastic example that I can think of right off the top of my head was Nosferatu, which was quite
Mm-hmm.
recently redone. And I
Mm-hmm.
know Nosferatu very specifically has a lot to do with sexual repression. That's kind of the whole movie right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
Exactly. And it's like when we introduce these different thoughts, right, into our thought processes, it really opens up a lot of what we just hadn't really even thought about,
Yeah.
especially with thoughts in correlations to horror, with thoughts in correlations to, vampirism and movies and different things that we are seeing going on. It's really, really interesting the way that we can really go about these things. Um, and so that kind of leads me really perfectly into our next question, which we had just literally just talked about, which is, are you familiar with the queerness within Mary Shelley's The Frankenstein?
I love Mary Shelley. I rub my devious little hands together. Yes. I had read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein oh god, in middle school, I think.
Hmm.
But my partner's very into Mary Shelley, and that got me really back into Mary Shelley. Um and actually there was an article I read recently called Exploring the Inherent Queer Undertones of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And
Oh,
it's on Lit Reactor.
okay.
I think it's by, well, let me just pull it up. It's by Christopher Schultz. on Lit
Ooh, okay.
Reactor, and I was just reading it, and it was fantastic. And especially with the new movie by Guillermo del Toro coming out, uh,
Mm-hmm.
being Frankenstein. I'm I love Frankenstein. um, but yes, no. There is also which I'll this will make sense in a second why I'm pulling this up. There is a very strong conversation about toxic masculinity in this book. Um, and patriarchal roles. Um, and I think that those are issues that at the very least I have seen be a struggle for people in the queer community. Because, if you're not a stereotypical man and you're not a stereotypical woman, then sometimes it's like, where do I fit in? And I know I struggle with this feeling a lot. And the book does play with that quite heavily. It is a very big plot point. Um,
Yes, definitely.
I mean, the creation of Frankenstein's bride, for example, the
Mm-hmm.
creation of Frankenstein's monster himself. It's a whole story, and it being a story by a woman really helps. Because it addresses difficult topics. I guess I'll say. Because I know there's a scene in which in the novel known as the creature, but we more commonly refer to him as Frankenstein's monster. He I don't want to talk about it, but he does something graphic, right? And then he, goes, "Now I'm a man," right? He harms a female character in the novel, and he goes, "Now I'm a man," and that's horrible, first of all. But second of all, a really important scene that people don't talk about, oftentimes because they haven't read the novel and they've only seen the movie, which nothing wrong with that, y'all. But it's I'm struggling to put this into words, so feel free to interrupt me as you wish. But it's a tough topic. But that scene in particular is very important, I think, because the monster, or I guess the creature, has this idea of what a man has to be. You have to be a powerful, strong man that overpowers women. And I mean, God, half of the novel is the creature struggling with that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as horrible as that scene is, it's so important to understanding the monster. And I have no idea if I'm even properly explaining why I think that's important to queer people, but it's so much
You're all
more.
good. I think you're doing great, honestly.
Thank you. It's so much more than just a filthy scene to make you hate the monster. It it's a commentary on society. Not to sound like a Reddit or Joker person over here. Um,
Aside.
society. But what is a man? I think is the best way to kind of explain what I'm thinking. What is a man? How are you more of a man than somebody else? And the monster has this horrible, toxic idea that he takes out on poor Elizabeth. Um, and he's like, "Well, now I'm a man." And it's like, no, honey. First of all, no. But second of all, it's this idea of having to force yourself to be something you aren't. First of all, and of course, the
Mm-hmm.
novel takes it in a very extreme way. Um, it's just such. Oh God, it's such a tragic novel. And that's only one aspect. I'm sure you have some other aspects of the story in mind. Probably more notably the bodybuilding part.
Yeah, yeah. In essence, going from that, also Mary Shelley, author of Frankenstein, being heavily rumored to be bisexual themselves, and also part of like entirely radical queer friendly circles within the 1800s, which is also incredibly, like thought provoking in and of itself. That being, someone within that time period and being, quote unquote, not just okay, but welcoming to the queer community.
Hmm.
Um, and then also going into Frankenstein, the book, when we think about the queerness, the inherent queerness within Frankenstein, thinking about, everything going on, and um, the fact that not only is this queerness, or is this queerness, is this relationship between Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster so inherently queer, but also um quoting from an article called Queerness and Monstrosity, it's basically saying like there is something about Frankenstein's creation and monsters in general that speaks deeply to the queer community. And
Hmm.
it's the inherent feeling we had talked about previously of being unnatural, unlovable, about being abandoned by society, and especially within Frankenstein's creation's place, being abandoned by your own creator, the person who
Oh yeah.
created you, being abandoned by your parental,
Hmm.
which is a heavy theme within the LGBTQIA plus community.
Much unfortunately, yeah. And
Um,
just if you
and
don't mind me making just one quick comment,
of
um,
course,
to anybody that disagrees that what Victor and the monster had wasn't a little queer, he made the perfect man. Come on. He made the perfect man. He went and found the
he
most
had to live
buff,
through
gorgeous
parts. He
body
went
ever.
through he went through perfect parts, perfect appendages.
Appendages. Yeah. I
He was like on
people
that one.
people say that's not true, and I'm like, come on. Would you really go through all that effort to make the most perfect being in every way, shape, and form if it wasn't for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that was
Man,
purely a self-indulgent ramble. Go ahead.
honestly, honestly. Also, hi, John. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We're talking about horror and
Oh.
queerness and how they intermingle.
And I'm playing
So,
Minecraft and getting my ass whooped right now. Holy shit.
oh no. I'll play Genshin, Picture Impact. I'm going through cutscene impact.
Hold on. Could
Also,
you stream that to me? I kind of want to put that on my stream for my
yeah.
fans, and I'll stream what I have too after I get in a safe spot
Let
actually.
me get this up. Hopefully. I hope
And if it's too hard on your bandwidth or anything, don't worry about it.
it might be a little
You know what?
stinky in my bandwidth.
We already have VTube Studio running hard. It's okay. I'm just gonna tell everybody to go over to you if they want to see Genshin.
I'm just doing the newest area of Genshin called Nod Cry. There's so much going on here. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't want to do this quest right now. I'm just trying to unlock these points.
It's okay. I'm kind of the same exact way in Minecraft. I'm trying to build my fucking house, and I'm being chased by like 3 different mod creatures, and I don't know what they do.
I'm like, can we not do that actually?
I'm
But
scared.
also another very interesting point to make about Frankenstein in general, or Frankenstein's creation, and Frankenstein, obviously the Frankenstein, the what do you call it? Frankenstein, the oh my goodness, words, please, you're
Concept.
eluding me. No, the movie.
Oh.
Cheese and rice. I couldn't think of the word movie. Holy crap.
I purposely
Um,
didn't say movie because I didn't think that was the word. I'm so sorry.
I was literally like, what the fuck is that word? The thing that I
You know that the
know
thing.
that as a thing.
Hmm.
The thing, the
Yeah,
thing, that
great
thing,
movie.
obviously.
That's another movie we can talk
Um,
about.
yes. So that movie was actually created, directed by James Whale, who was openly gay.
Hmm.
Which
Yes.
I mean, honestly, let's go, gay boys.
Let's go, gay boys. Making film. Oh fuck. Oh,
Exactly, exactly.
making film
So
history is
today
what I
we
was trying
are
to say.
here
Sorry, I just got
with
chased by something. I don't know what that is.
valid, so valid, honestly. We are here with this amazing battle Kale. Kale is
Hello.
also part of the Chunky.
Let's go, Chunky represent.
The Chunky rep. Let's
Where my
go.
fat bitches at?
That is crazy.
And not all of us are
But yeah,
not all of
I
us are
think
fat. That's the
just
point, is that we're inclusive.
we're inclusive. We're inclusive of everyone, fat or non-fat. It's okay. I'll be fat enough for both of us. I'm fat enough for all of us. It's okay.
I'm fat enough to go around, babes.
Exactly, exactly. So basically, um, our next little segment is gonna be a pretty fun one, a pretty fun one if you enjoy kind of just like spouting off whatever you feel like. So
Oh yeah.
we're gonna go and I'm gonna say some words, obviously. I'm gonna say some words and some phrases, and whatever pops into your mind, Kale, you just go ahead
Word
and spout
association.
whatever it is. Yes.
Yes. I haven't played word association since I was in a psychology class in high school. So this will be fun.
Period.
This will be fun.
So
I apologize in
our
advance.
first, not the I apologize in advance. That's
I'm just
crazy.
warning everybody.
Our first little phrase, our first phrase is monsters.
Honestly, the first thing I think of is the universal monster. I was gonna say initiative, more so of a brand now. So, Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Monster, Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback of Notre Dame is debatably in that category, and The Wolfman. That's the universal monsters.
We love that. I love that. I can definitely see that. 100%,
I'm a
100%.
really big Halloween Horror Nights fan, so the classic monsters are my shit. Just putting that out there now.
Oh, really now?
Mhm.
I definitely can understand that. I think that when I think of monsters, especially when in correlation to, queerness, I think of oh, I'm definitely gonna die here. What the fuck? Um
It's okay. I've had a couple of those moments as well in the past like 10 minutes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna die here. I also think of, what of folks calling people monsters,
Yeah.
of othering, of, these different things that we hear on the daily
Hmm.
when we talk about, who we are as people in general, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the main thoughts I hear when I talk about, monsters and being a monster or
Hmm.
being othered. Um, and I think it's a very important fact to look at
Yeah.
when we go in and we talk about these different things, because it's like, yes, you do want to understand, you want to talk about monsters, you want to talk about fun, you want to
Hmm.
talk about all these different things, but it is also extremely important to talk about how it makes us feel
Yeah.
as queer folks.
Yeah. That is 100% true.
For our next phrase, we are going into the phrase called horror fandoms.
Let's go. I've been active in those since 5th grade.
Fifth grade. Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
Oh.
that's kind of like when I was active. I've been watching horror movies since I was little. Since my mom told me to stay upstairs and not watch through the stairs, but I did anyways.
I love that, honestly.
Truth of the matter.
We love truth. We love truth. Hi, my love. My husband just came in.
Hello, choose love.
Hello, my love. Um, but yeah, so horror fandom. What do you think about when you think of horror fandom within the queer slash horror space?
Sorry, I was swallowing. Um,
Hello?
a little bit of. I'm eating a taco. I'm just over here, like, getting crazy. No.
Just over here getting stupid and just going for
We
it.
were talking about monsters. I got excited. um. Oh yeah, Chew. This is like my second stream being 18 plus. This is great.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
yes.
nothing wrong with my community. I
Congratulations.
just wanted to be myself uncensored. Um,
Mhm.
but anyway, so when I think of the horror community, I actually think a lot of queerness. Just people finding themselves. I see that all the time. Where people are like, I watched this movie and I realized I was gay, or I watched this movie and I realized I was trans. And obviously, you see that in any
Mhm.
fandom space, but God, I see it so much more in horror spaces. And I think it goes back to, the beginning of our conversation, the whole point of our conversation. There is a lot of queerness in the horror space. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, the shipping space is huge in horror. So that's kind of the
100%.
first place I go.
100%.
It's like people finding themselves and finding out they're gay, finding out they're trans, finding out they're, whatever label they prefer to use.
Mhm.
And then the fan art that makes them realize that.
Not the fan art.
It's
That's
true.
crazy.
It's how I realized too. It's okay.
Mood. Also, yes, we can. We can actually now say choose husband. Oh my god, wow.
Oh my god, how cute. I'm literally so happy for you guys, by the way. I don't know if I ever sent that message that I meant to send. But I'm literally so happy for you two. I literally wish you the most.
Oh, thank you.
It it makes my heart just weep. I'm so happy for you guys. Like, jokes aside. I hope you guys have a
I
very
appreciate it.
long and lovely relationship together. Married now. Oh my gosh.
It's been 6 years, so hasn't gotten rid of me yet.
It's about time. No.
Was it after 6 it's time to replace or whatever?
But yeah, I'm so happy for you guys. Oh my gosh. I love it. And the pictures were
Thank
beautiful. The
you.
pictures that I saw.
Oh, thank you, thank you. We spent a while on those. We spent so much time in our outfits and everything.
The effort shows.
Um,
Anyway, sorry.
yeah. For our next phrase, camp horror.
I'm so sorry. What did you say?
Camp horror.
Oh, camp. Okay.
Camp more so like queer
Yeah, like
camp, like
campy,
being
not
so
like
bad
Friday
it's
the
good.
13th.
Not like of actual like camp.
Yeah, so my favorite camp movie is probably Friday the 13th. That camp is really scary. No.
Actually, I like Cap Snoopy. That's a good one.
Oh gosh, what's that one? I know what you did last summer. Okay,
Oh
now
my god, yes.
now we're just talking about camps. I'm sorry. That's like literally what you said we were not gonna talk about. So I don't know if I missed the question or if you just said next up camp horror.
Yes. Next up was camp horror.
Okay, I was like a little worried I missed something.
Great.
I was like, I tuned out for 5 seconds. Did I did I just miss something important? Okay.
Kale?
Hello?
Yes?
I'm assuming we just had a scuff moment.
Well, I was just gonna ask you, still within the whole like word,
Oh my gosh, we're
the
doing word association. I totally forgot. I was like, camp horror. What about it?
I was like, yeah, camp horror.
I'm literally so sorry. Okay, when you say camp horror, the thing I think of, because that's how this game works, I'm so sorry. um, honestly, I think of Freddy Krueger first.
Ooh,
I think
okay,
of Wes
okay.
Craven, basically just as a whole.
Hmm.
Scream is
Valid,
super
so valid.
campy. Nightmare on Elm Street
True,
super
true.
campy. I mean, Nightmare was campy first, but it was kind of Wes's style, to be so meta and so self-aware, and that led to a lot of camp.
True, true.
I think Robert Englund alone helped with that. Very silly,
You're not wrong.
very silly guy. For those that don't know, that is Freddy Krueger's actor. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Definitely.
I literally like totally spaced that we were talking about we were doing a word association. I'm so sorry.
You're all good. You're all good. I figured I was like, oh wait, let me oh fuck,
Let's
I
back
just
up a little. Yeah, that is so funny. I'm so sorry.
so for our next word association, our next and last word association, it is the phrase sorry, horror fandom.
We just did that one.
Did we?
Yeah, because I was talking about how the fandoms are.
Oh my god, my brain mush.
It's
Holy
okay.
crap.
We're
Holy
both on the
crap.
same page. We're both on the same page separately. It's okay.
Crazy. Same page separately.
Yeah. It's okay. No, see, that's why I forgot we were doing word association because we were talking about the fandoms.
Okay, okay. Makes sense. Makes
See,
sense.
we're on
Okay.
the same page separately. It's
Now we're
literally
on the
okay.
same page.
Yes.
Again, we were testing you, chat. We were testing you,
Yeah, we're seeing
actually.
if you were paying attention.
Yeah. So now moving on, have you ever thought about how queerness and horror parallel the real world?
Every damn day, babe. um, this actually goes back into the fandom space, actually. There
Oh,
was,
okay, okay.
again, will make sense in 1 second. I just need to give the context first. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie is coming out, and two, uh, the two, I don't want to say most popular because that feels a little mean, but the two, big faces of the movie right now are Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich, who played together as Billy and Stu in Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And they call each other horror husbands, the first horror husbands. And I know this is a weird path to go, but this will loop back. And I find it to be so fascinating how often horror is brought up in queer relationships and in being
Mm-hmm.
queer ourselves. It's and just seeing that interview of Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich calling each other horror husbands and being like, oh yeah, we're the first horror husbands. I see people compare themselves to Billy and Sue all the time, which by the way is not healthy. If you have a relationship like Billy and Stu, you need to get out, right? Just putting that out there. Um, but yeah, no, like people, and maybe it's also just because I'm autistic and I'm in a lot of autistic spaces and we all like horror, but like I feel like I hear it all the time. In even in a less positive sense. I know earlier you brought up the word monster and you said how it makes you think of the horrible insults people throw. I
Mm-hmm.
hear people talk all the time about like they'll read Frankenstein or they'll better example they'll meet the Bride of Frankenstein performer in the Universal parks,
Mhm.
and they're like, God, I relate to her. I understand her. Feminist icon. While I agree, it's so interesting because they don't necessarily agree with, they don't necessarily relate with, rather. Um,
Mhm.
I've noticed anything other than her strangeness, which a lot of neurodivergent people like feel and relate, and her the fact that she was made by a man for a man and she doesn't want any of them. A lot of people have assigned her to be a lesbian character,
Mhm.
which honestly I love. But like I in a positive way, people compare themselves to these characters. And in a negative way, people
Mhm.
are compared to these characters. So I know that was like a really long-winded loop around, but
No, I mean I like that you're putting these two things together because it's really true, honestly. Like when we talk about these different things, there's so many different ways we can look at these different scenarios, right? Like how we see these different words as well. Those obviously make a difference in how we go about our days and how we really look at everything.
Mhm,
Like when I'm looking at a word versus how you're looking at a word, when you look at one thing versus how I'm looking at something,
mhm,
they're really showing a lot of differences, which is totally okay, totally fine. But it's also something that, when taking into consideration, we really have to dive deeper into what these words mean
mhm,
and how they've been associated with each different aspect, from queerness to horror to whatever else we might talk about here on the stream or off stream. Words have meanings, and when we use these words and how they parallel to one another within the real world, it really gets to be, really eye opening to see how random thoughts are acquitted.
yeah,
And one of the main examples I have on how, like, horror can parallel the LGBT and the real world in general is specifically within the 1960s, right?
right.
We had the AIDS crisis,
Hmm.
but also in that time, we had movies like The Night of the Living Dead and The
Fantastic
Fly.
film by George Romero.
Mhm. And when
But
we
yeah, I
look at
didn't
these
think about The
different things,
Fly. Yeah.
yeah, and The Fly heavily, heavily transcoded for a lot of trans individuals when we talk about The Fly. As you know, the little spoiler alert, these movies are 90 years old, y'all. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. But in The Fly, the main character is having a really horrifying transformation within their body. And it can really raise questions of like gender dysphoria, body dysmorphia, uncontrollable body, uncontrollable body morphing and whatnot.
Hmm.
And so that really gives leeway into a lot of what was happening at the time, especially when we talk about the Night of the Living Dead. A lot of queer folks would see themselves in a lot of different scenarios
Oh yeah.
because of the AIDS crisis. Mirroring the Night of the Living Dead, there's a disease. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how it's infecting people at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's almost like this apocalyptic scene being set in these movies that we're now seeing in real time.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks, I am going to say this, I personally probably wouldn't really be one of these folks, but a lot of folks found comfort within these movies
Mhm.
because they can sort of see themselves in them,
Yeah.
Whether it was seeing their friends, unfortunately pass on due to the AIDS crisis, or seeing themselves transform
Mhm.
into something they can't really recognize anymore.
I think that there is also something very important to say about body horror in general being oftentimes incredibly queer in and of itself. I
Mhm.
see a lot of the time where people will watch The Thing,
Mm.
or The Fly, which, by the way, that having Jeff Goldblum in it does not make it any less queer. Um, um, but there's this one movie called Teeth, I think is what it's called,
Yes. Oh my
and
God.
uh,
Dude.
and it's about this woman who's got teeth somewhere she should not normally have teeth, and she ends up using it for good. um, for revenge, I guess would be better. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic movie. I think you should watch it. But if you don't like body horror and you don't like sex, don't watch it. But there's this, and I myself am trans, so I'll kind of be putting my own feelings in here. Um, Being trans, in my experience, can be kind of scary, especially when
Oh
you
yeah.
know that you're trans and then you go through puberty. Because then, like, at least for me, and obviously I'm not speaking for everybody, so I guess I'll start saying, in my experience, in my opinion, um, I kind of felt like the fly. Like, obviously I'm not turning into a fly. I'm not having a horrible, monstrous transformation, but God, it felt like it. I like up until this point,
Mhm.
theoretically, I was like, yeah, I'm okay with myself, and all of a sudden I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm going through changes, and I feel ugly, and I don't know who I am anymore, and I look in the mirror and I don't see something that's me, and that's like literally exactly what the character in The Fly goes through, and
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm one of those people that takes comfort in horror movies. And it's just with The Fly, with The Thing, with other body horror movies that I've seen that I can't think of right now. Obviously, it all can be taken as a big allegory for the AIDS crisis because that
Mhm.
makes sense. That makes complete sense. Um,
Exactly.
but I find a lot of people also take it either as an allegory for or take it personally in the sense of being trans.
Mhm.
There's an interesting perspective I saw from a trans man who had gotten pregnant. Um, and
Mhm.
he was
Mhm.
carrying the baby, and he was like, I love having a baby. I love being pregnant, whatever. Um, but he was like, it's horrifying. It's a horrifying, I am, you know, quote unquote, passing as a man. I appear very masculine. I've got a big beard. And all of a sudden now I've got a big belly and I've got boobs and it's like scary.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think there's something to be said about the experience of being a woman or being somebody born AFAB, which for those who don't
Uh-huh.
know is assigned female at birth, um, and that connection to body horror, especially with like movies like Teeth and movies like The Substance, where it's through the eyes of a woman and experiencing all these things. But yeah, anyways,
Exactly.
something I also heard once is which I only just thought of now that you've uh, reminded me of, certain things, the connection between zombies and such and the AIDS crisis. A lot of people also compare vampirism to the AIDS crisis
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
is this thing transferred by blood or, you know, has blood involved in some way, shape, or form, and typically comes from acts of sensuality.
Yeah.
Biting someone's neck. In uh, Bram Stoker's Dracula, it is wholeheartedly an allegory for sex, if not straight up just sex in the book.
Mhm.
So I think as sort of my personal closing thought, people write horror stories to cope with things in their own lives, whether that be something, completely out of their handle, like the AIDS crisis, or even puberty. It doesn't have to be this big thing. And even something as small as something awful happened to me and now I want revenge for it. You know, a lot of horror stories are
Hmm.
revenge
Hmm.
stories. And I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that's also important to bring up when it comes to queerness in horror is a lot of queer people feel wronged, justifiably. And a lot of queer people are
Yeah.
like, man, I wish I could punch somebody. Oh god, I just got scared in my game, sorry. I wish I could punch somebody in the face right now, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a very multi-layered conversation, but I think um, those things are all important to keep in mind. I'm a big yapper in case you couldn't tell.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm,
Makes a lot of sense, especially within these terms when we're talking about, like different thoughts of what is really going on between a lot of these different horror dynamics,
mm,
right? Like when we're talking about these different things, we're talking about like, oh, is it just talking about what's going on in, you know, society when what's just going on in between, a lot of these different things, and it's like, no, there's so much, what is the word? There's so much nuance, right? In
nuance, yeah.
every single one of these things, um that it can be a little bit harder to understand.
Yeah.
But when we look through these parallels, when we look about the queer world, about the world in general, right, it makes a lot of sense.
hmm Especially when you
And
have the
so,
perspective of somebody that's also in the queer community, but maybe in a different part of it. Like, I don't know your experiences and you don't know mine, and it's amazing that we get to share that.
exactly. Exactly. And I think it does have something to say, especially, you know, with what is not only going on with the horror world, but with the queer world and the world in general too. Right? I feel like there's so much going on in general that it really can get confusing.
hmm
Well, especially when talking about different things with different experiences, right? It's like we all have different experiences, but it's also like we have these experiences and it's about how we go about using them
Right.
and how we go about talking about them.
Yeah.
Because even if I'm over here saying, like, oh, yeah, my experience is X, Y, and Z, your experience, it also should be that. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that's not how we're at least making it out to be
hmm
either.
Yeah. Like,
So, going a little bit
oh,
forward.
nope.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, like, especially when it comes to our interpretation of monsters. I keep coming back to that. Like, it's so interesting how your first thought is, somebody would call me a monster. And my first thought is,
Mhm.
I'm thinking of the monsters I relate to. I think that that alone is
Mhm.
so telling of experiences and really, really interesting.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, you were talking about some, you were starting us off on another conversation. Go ahead.
Yes. So I was going to say, for our next little conversation, diving a little bit more from all of our experiences, talking now about queer history explicitly within the Stonewall uprisings. Do you know what the Stonewall uprisings or the Stonewall riots were?
I'm going to answer this with a very fun fact. Have you ever heard of History Fair? From
Mm-mm.
what I understand, it's a fairly East Coast thing. So,
Okay.
you know, um, it's essentially this competition where you would,
Okay.
create a poster, a website, an essay. Essays, in my opinion, were always better. um, and it would be about a certain topic, and you could make it into like championships, and you can win shit, right? Now,
Okay.
the reason why this is important is because several years ago, I made it into the finals with an essay about the Stonewall Uprising.
Okay. Wonderful.
So I do know about Stonewall riots or uprising, or kind of depends on. who you are, where you're from, whatever you call it.
Mhm. Would you like to go into a little bit about the Stonewall Uprising?
I'll get us started, and then you can share your information as well. Um,
Sure.
so the Stonewall riots, uprising, rebellion, revolution, etc. It was a series, actually, over multiple days, if not weeks, um,
Mhm.
of riots, demonstrations, protests. Again, the issue with situations like this is that it really depends on who you are, what the wording is, because I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh, they're violent riots," and some people are like, "Well, they're just protests." Depends on your point of view. I'm going to continue calling it the uprising and a protest, just out of personal preference. Um, but this all started because of a police raid that took place in late June in 1969 at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village in New York City. Um, they had raided the place because they're like, well, it's full of, all these bad words I'm not going to say. And that's against the rules. You can't be openly queer. You can't cross dress. You can't, kiss, anyone that you prefer to kiss. You can't hold hands with anybody. Um, you know, they had all sorts of silly reasons. But uh, most unfortunately, the Stonewall Inn was set ablaze. And I mean, everybody was reasonably pissed. So that's what started the protests. People were like, "Well, we shouldn't be kicked out of our safe space." And definitely should not have cops busting into our safe space to arrest everybody for no reason. So there was a parade. Um, there's a parade yearly now. Um, Everybody knows about the brick, and I'm going to send things off to Chiwu for a maybe less emotionally charged response.
I mean, hey, you're gonna get a more emotional than charged response.
Let's go.
So in essence, yes. I mean, exactly as Carol was saying, it's definitely something, that it is very, very emotionally driven because it is an emotional, time when we talk about it. So just as Carol said, it was a time, it was at the Stonewall Inn, and it was made specifically, not made, but it happened specifically multiple days, which I think a lot of people misinterpret. They think that Stonewall was only a 1 day thing, one, day, a single day event or
One
something
night,
like that,
yeah.
you know? And so in June 28th, 1969, it would mark the beginning of the Stonewall Uprising, between, police and LGBTQIA plus protesters. And so the Stonewall Inn was actually owned and operated the by the mafia, and it was kind of like a wink wink nudge nudge between the mafia and the LGBT, like, hey, you scratch your back, we'll scratch yours, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. And between police as well. Police would often go and accept bribes so that they didn't have to do anything and they got paid to do so,
Mm.
whether it was through alcohol, mostly alcohol, or just through cash, whatever they had, they would give to them, and they would basically be like, okay, cool, whatever.
Oh yeah, we have
However,
nothing. We have no idea what the Stonewall Inn
mhm,
is.
what is that?
Yeah, but
However,
that's a
there
story that
were
goes all the way
also
to the prohibition between the mafia and the police.
exactly. Um, and there's actually they would also run a sting operation in Stonewall and other LGBT clubs where police would go in and infiltrate that area, and they would take folks who were gender nonconforming, trans, etc., or would also identify as drag queens because they would identify as drag queens for their own safety instead of using the word trans, and which they would use the word transvestite instead during that time zone. um, they would run stings where they would send the officers in to go in and basically find these folks who were twisting and meddling with gender in different clothings,
Twisting,
take them
meddling.
to the take them to the bathroom and see if the genitalia aligned, and they would arrest them if it did not.
Sadly,
And
sounds
so
familiar to some people, I'm sure.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the reason why Stonewall happened is because they didn't do a sting this time. Instead, they dove straight in, said, "All of you are under arrest. We don't need a reason. We're going to arrest you all because we can, because we're the police and we
Yep.
have that power."
Yep.
Um, and
They don't,
the
by the way.
LGBT said, "No, actually, no." And so, that is when the first punch was thrown by Stormy Delaver, actually. History. A lot of people like to say the first brick, but some people even don't think there was a brick, and the brick was more so a what is the word? More so a metaphor
Mhm.
for what was about to happen. And historians would say that, the culmination of years of LGBTQIA plus activism, because Stonewall was not the first, right? Stonewall was not the first time LGBT people had fought back, and it won't be the last, unfortunately. It is also not the first time that we would, have run-ins with the police, etc. But historians would say that this shift within activism, if Stonewall would truly represent one, was unfortunately primarily a shift for white cisgendered people, as people of color and gender non-conforming individuals never truly had that benefit of concealing our marginalized identities. And so that's why when we talk about Stonewall, it becomes so passion driven because of what was happening. It is so important to note that because of the numbers of uprisings against police and state brutality, harassment, and entrapment of the LGBT communities in the US in years before Stonewall, these events and the people involved don't really receive as much historical attention as Stonewall, but they're just as central to understanding US LGBTQIA plus history.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's why we celebrate LGBT History Month today.
Mhm.
Um, Kale, I'm going to ask, do you want to do a little break? My grandfather just called and I have to go get him something. So I was going to do a little BRB, if that's okay
That,
with
yeah,
you.
no,
You
that
can,
absolutely sounds great.
sounds good?
I can go,
Awesome.
get a little cup of water or something, give everybody in chat a little break. But before we
Slay.
go, if that's okay, just one little quick thing.
Mhm.
Somebody in your chat asked if I had a favorite horror character, and that was something we talked about very early at the beginning. I answered Sidney Prescott.
Yes. Yes.
That had been sitting
Sydney.
there for a while, so I figured I would answer it
I'm
as we were
sorry.
going or something. All right, yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely. All right. BRB. Yay! We're back.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
How are
How are you
you?
doing?
Fine, thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Oh my god!
Oh my God. Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Michael.
Also, hi. Hi, welcome in.
That's
How's it
my best
going?
friend, Michael.
Oh my gosh, hello.
I wave really big.
I live, laugh, love. I live, laugh, love.
Yay! Michael's actually the one that made this mod pack for me.
Oh my gosh, Slay! I'm not allowed to play Minecraft.
I remember that actually, yeah. Don't worry, I don't blame you. Or
You
anyone
don't
from
blame
banning
me,
you.
hello? That's crazy.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's wild. Not that it's okay.
I say it with nothing but love in my heart. I hope you know.
I love that.
I tease to show my
Thank
appreciation.
you. Kaylee Whaley, I'm lining. Oh my gosh, you got a calm.
Tazzy, we gotta
Oh,
show Chuwu.
hello.
We gotta
I
show
haven't
you.
been informed.
It's
I don't know what's going on. What's happening? What do I do?
it's really good. Or music from me or from Chuwu? I can get some music going.
Yes, I have music on right now.
I usually
Oh, I'm
don't have
excited.
music playing while I do Minecraft, but there is in fact in-game music, so I
Oh,
might as well, right?
might as
There's
well.
something called the jukebox, and I have a diamond. So
Oh.
I truly have no idea. No, you know what? Actually, I do know where we left off. We were talking about the Stonewall riots.
Yes. In factoid we were.
Something that I find incredibly fucking ironic about Stonewall is that, of course, it was a step for everyone, but it was a couple steps more for people who were not so visibly minorities. Um,
Yes. Yes.
mostly white men. Yet Stormy de la
Yes.
Vere was biracial.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that kicked it off.
And I mean also most of our chicken attack, holy crap. Oh my god. Scared the shit out of me. I completely forgot I had redeems on. I was like, I haven't heard of redeem all stream, so I was like, oh, I don't have this on. It's okay. It's okay. That's my fault. That's okay. You can if I have them on, use them. Honestly,
I'm
but
surprised I've not had shit thrown at my head yet.
I threw it away. Get him food. I gave you the easier job. Why are you angry? Crazy. Oh my goodness. My mother comes in, bro. Whoa. I'm like, I literally. Oh my goodness. TMI. I threw away my grandfather's poo bin. I'm gonna call it that.
Poobin.
And I just told my mom to give him his food. Wouldn't that be not the job you would want?
I don't know. Seems a little
I'm like,
unfair.
hello, crazy. Pennywise, I am Furby Chew because I choose to be.
We are both creatures, and I needed a seat.
we are low quitters. We're little quitters, and I have kale on my bum bum. Um, but yes, so many of the activists for um obviously like all most of the LGBT were POC and trans at that.
I think when most people think of Stonewall, they also think of Marsha P. Johnson, who is not a
Mm-hmm.
white woman.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly.
It is, and I recognize also wholeheartedly that I say this as a white person. It is insane the amount of POC erasure that happens
Hmm.
not only in history but also in the queer community.
Exactly,
That's absurd.
exactly.
Totally absurd.
No, for literally, I'm just like, how is this even? I don't get it.
We're all
I don't get it.
marginalized.
But
At least we could be
exactly,
marginalized together.
right? It's like, why are we playing the oppression Olympics right now? Like, hello?
Yeah, it's absurd. But again, I also wholeheartedly recognize that I am saying that as a white person. So, you know,
I mean, valid.
but yeah. Um,
Yes.
I
So,
think something
um,
that I would also like to just bring up about Stonewall
mhm,
is that is there was an issue with the police inciting violence. It is a documented thing. It's a documented thing that police do in
mhm,
general. Um, the bricks that people talk about, the first brick thrown and all that, um,
mhm.
were planted there by the police.
Yes, and that is something that I have also brought up is that in these, these trying times, a lot of people are going to events, right? Where a lot of us are going to events where, where unfortunately many of these things can be seen, where there are obviously some, there are some how should I put this? Should I put this like politely or like non-politely?
I don't think you should be polite about it, but that's me and my political stance.
Okay.
There's a four-letter
I'm just like,
acronym I'm quite fond of.
I was literally gonna say that. I was gonna be like, well, I say ACAB for a reason.
Yeah, again, the truth
And
is the
so
truth.
basically, they will do that on purpose at any event, at any protest slash, whatever you go to, it happens. And it is incredibly unfortunate and really, really aggravating that they do this and they do it on purpose.
There is proof that this was done for No King's Day protests that happened
Mm-hmm.
fairly recently.
Mm-hmm.
This happened even more recently with pro-Palestinian protests,
Yep.
um, begging the government to do something about the people in Gaza and support them,
Mm-hmm.
or rather, more accurately, to do something about the Israeli government. But people were like, yeah, we're having a really fantastic, calm protest. And then all of a sudden we see, cops show up and bricks are suddenly there. Some concrete bricks when there's no construction in sight. So
Yep.
it's a
And they're
documented
waiting
thing.
for you to pick them up.
Yep. Because they're
Whether
gonna
it's
piss you off on
done
purpose.
jokingly, yep. They're doing it so that they can say, "Oh, look, they're violent." That is one of the primary reasons they do it.
Mhm. And then they have a reason to take you down. Because if you're
Uh-huh.
being a peaceful protester, there's literally like nothing they can do about it. That's like in your rights to do that. You are legally allowed to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have, if there's any proof at all that you've incited violence, they can put you legally in cuffs. That's fucked up.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing on purpose.
Yeah.
But going forward, talking about the government, do you know what the lavender scare was?
Oh my gosh, I do. Um, and if it's okay, I'd like to introduce us to this one too.
Of course.
um, During the rise of McCarthyism, uh, which wow tells you that I'm a history nerd. Um, with the rise of McCarthyism, which for those that don't know is also called the Red Scare, everybody thought, oh God, the Russians are going to take over, space race, all that sort of biz. And it led Americans, and elsewhere too, but we are specifically talking about America here because we live in America. Um, it led to a lot, and I mean a lot, of fear, paranoia, anxiety, and not just about the Russians, but anybody that was weird or different. Um,
Mhm.
and what ended up happening is um, a lot of people of color were very suddenly more ostracized than they already were, especially people who were Asian. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I mean, everybody, of course, was being judged and being hurt, but especially Asian communities. And, well, people of color aren't the only ones different than us, our cishet white men. A lot of queer people were targeted too because, well, they're weird. They must be Russians. They must be, you know, attempting to take down the traditional American ways. Stuff you've probably heard recently. um, and so the lavender scare is sort of a I hate to say playful reference because it is sort of a silly play on terms, but it is also a serious thing. On the red scare, lavender being um the term for queerness in a way. If you've heard lavender marriage, same thing basically. Lavender being queerness. And I actually don't know where that comes from. So if you do, that'd be fantastic to hear. Um, but the lavender scare was, oh God, everybody's gay and they're ruining our lives and they're stealing our husbands and they're, uh, you know, destroying our way of conservative, God-given right of being a woman, marrying a man, and having 7 children
Mhm.
in our
Mhm.
beautiful nuclear family. Obviously, is not true,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
again, extreme paranoia in the 60s and 70s.
Mhm. Mhm. So I actually do know why lavender is a queer color. Lavender was actually purposefully chosen as the color because it is the mixture of baby pink and sky blue that
Oh
was used
my
for gender.
God.
And so as a symbol of
That's
resistance and
amazing.
empowerment, the lavender was reclaimed by the queer community.
I love
And yeah,
that.
just like you said, right? Isn't it such a fun fact?
That is really
Um,
interesting.
and so that's why we say lavender for a lot of different things, right?
Hmm.
Lavender marriages, the lavender scare,
Hmm.
etc., was all happening, and it created a large sort of othering,
Hmm.
right, between the queer community and the non-queer community,
Oh yeah.
because they were saying, no, stinky ads are happening. I'll give it a minute.
Oh yeah, there's ads happening on my channel. Are they? Oh my gosh, are our cycles linked?
Oh my god, unfortunately, no. Actually, I
Oh,
don't have.
oh,
When I do exclamation BRB, it sends me to BRB screen, automatically plays 3-minute ads.
oh! I gotta set that up. That's fucking nice.
It is wonderful. Mix it up, the god you are.
I cannot figure out mix it up for the life of me. But no, we've got 30 seconds left of ads on my channel.
Oh, Slay. Okay, I'll wait for a little bit, just in case Arenos,
Oh,
obviously.
don't worry. I can ramble about how surprised I am about lavender. That is actually like really cool though. I had no idea. And lavender is my
Isn't it?
favorite color ever.
Yeah, it is literally done so because of the mixture.
It's pink and
I
blue and
think it's
everything in
just so
between.
funny.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that is actually really impressive. I know about carnations, but I didn't know about lavender.
It's so fun, honestly, because whenever we talk about lavender and we're talking about these different things, it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, are we back?
Yes, we are good now.
Okay, cool. So, to answer Kale's question when we were talking about lavender, lavender, the reason why it is associated with queerness is because it is the blend between um, the two gendered colors of baby pink and sky blue. It is a perfect blend between those two, and that's why it's lavender, and that is why the queer community adopted it. And so when we're talking about the lavender scare, obviously it's a parallel to the red scare, the scarlet scare, and that is honestly, uh, I love that. I love that for you.
Cause I'm gay as fuck.
Um,
Now I need a lavender
and
tattoo. How cute.
it's same. Oh my gosh, matching blue chunky tattoos. Hello, lavender
Chunky
tattoos.
tattoos. Lavender's also my
Just
favorite
the
color, so it
chunky and
works.
lavender.
Love.
So basically, it was the synonymous with the Red Scare because not only during that time was it trying to harm the queer community, but it was also trying to weaken us and weaken our view in society. Because even within the one of the reasons why the Stonewall uprising happened was because during that time period, queer people were fighting. They were getting somewhere. We were getting results. We were getting those small municipal, areas where we were able to get, where we were able to get marriage equality within small areas. It was working. People were getting more and more onto marriage equality. But the government, I sound so tinfoil right
It's
now,
okay.
but
No,
the
I love it.
government
Get
and the
tinfoily.
government and the police did not like that. And so they said we're going to actively go against them. And so once they found out about the AIDS epidemic, that is when it really took off. And that is how the queer community fell into the negatives, essentially. We were getting so up there. Because if you even think about the times in the 70s, there was so much queerness. There was so much queerness
Just look
going
at
on.
ABBA.
Exactly. There was so much queerness going
Yeah.
on. People were loving the gays. We love the gays. And then everything happens, we go into the negative and we have to build ourselves back up. And so now going forward from US history, as I'm trying to be a little bit more worldly, do you, Kale, know when Canada legalized same sex marriage?
I'm gonna be honest. I have no fucking idea. I'd love to know though. I lived overseas for a really long time. So I frankly don't even know a super ton about America either. I know that, okay, I did not live there for all my life, so if any of my friends are in the chat, don't make fun of me. I know, but yeah, I do not know. When was gay marriage legalized in Canada?
So, gay marriage was legalized in 2005. However, in 1969, it was
Stonewall
actually
year.
decriminalized. Yeah, it was known
Oh,
as, it was actually the same year as Stonewall. It was Canada's decriminalization of homosexuality under their person Pierre Trudeau, saying there is no place for the state in the bedrooms of the nations. However,
slay!
equality was not immediate, and there was a lot of discrimination that would continue. But one of the real turning points was the Toronto bathhouse raids of 1981, when
Ooh,
police would storm bathhouses and arrest over 300 men. And so that backlash would spark protests known as Canada's Stonewall, galvanizing activism and shifting public opinion of LGBTQIA plus folks. And then later on in 2005, Canada would then legalize same sex marriage.
it's insane that it took that long, but holy moly. What a
Exactly.
tale!
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. And putting my tinfoil hat back on for us here. That is why it's important to stand together, especially if the government doesn't want you to, because
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
together strong.
Gay together strong.
Exactly. Um, and this will be my probably most tinfoily hat, statement. Why did boss music just start playing? What the fuck? Okay.
Oh,
Um, there's nothing here. I don't know. I guess I'm not allowed to say that. Sorry. um, But my most tinfoily thing, I'm not gonna say like the government's trying to kill us or anything. Um, they're trying to bomb our minds. No. Um,
Not the
they
mines.
they want to keep us apart and keep all this propaganda going about how, you know, if you shake a gay person's hand or you bump them in the street, you're gonna get AIDS and die. You know, they want you to think that, or wanted you to think that, because then you hate everybody and you're more likely to listen to the government. And
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
make you do things. They're gonna make you say that you are okay for bills that are harmful to people because you're like, well, I'm scared. They know what's best.
Mm-hmm. It's that same sense of othering that was happening.
Yeah,
That's why people are calling, you know, it the modern day lavender scare because of everything that's been happening,
yeah,
in all honesty.
yeah,
Which honestly makes perfect sense to me.
yeah.
It is giving the same premise that everything that happened during that time frame was.
hmm It's important to just, keep that in mind, guys, for no particular reason.
No particular reason,
People,
obviously.
we all together, strong. Just think about it, guys. 5 people are stronger than one person that works for a corrupt government. Just
Exactly.
baseline.
Exactly.
Now imagine if you have more than 5 people. I'm just saying. The government's afraid of their people, and that's how it should be.
Exactly. Exactly.
We hold the power.
And now, talking about living over the pond. Do you know what Section 28 was and how it had to do with LGBT and queer youth at the time?
I'm assuming it was a don't say gay law, but I have no idea.
I mean, essentially,
Okay, good guess. If I know anything about the government. But no, you should tell me. Wink.
wink, wink, walk, wink, walk.
Tell me all about
So,
it,
I mean,
ChUwUnky.
essentially, it was a don't say gay law, and it was primarily, it was in the UK. We're now moving on to the UK,
Let's go around the
and
world,
it
guys.
uh, it impacted queer youth because it was essentially foreboding talking about queerness and talking about education of queerness and sexual education of queerness and everything having to do with being queer. And it happened at that time, um, and it really gave a bit of an insight as to what was going on in the UK at the time. Because just like in Canada, right, there was so much going on at the time that when we try and think about these different things, it can be hard to, because it's like, oh, we see them and we view them as like very progressive,
Right.
but that law really, really affected queer folks, and it really it limited a lot of the queer understanding that queer youth in the UK had at the time. And it even sparked outrage because folks would actually went and they went into the BBC and they what do you call it? They protested in the BBC.
Let's go. Love that. I don't love the law, but I love the protests, and I love the protesters.
Exactly. We love them for that. How slay are they for that?
Stand up for yourselves and others. Stand up for those who can't stand up for
Period.
themselves.
Exactly. And so now, do you know what the LGSM was?
Okay, I know what the first 2 letters are. I can tell you what the LG means. No. I could guess what the S means, but I really don't
Mhm.
know. I know what
So the
L means.
LGSM
Know what G means.
was The lesbians and gays support the minors.
Oh, I love it. That makes sense.
Minors, miners, not ors.
Fuck yeah, everybody.
In the mines. I thought it was fitting because you are in the mines right
Oh
now.
my gosh. I am playing Minecraft. That's true.
I was like, you're literally in the mines.
Child,
I was
I
like, this is
yearn
just
for
so
the
funny to me.
mines.
The
You know,
children yearn for
that's
the mines.
it was that overseas?
Yes, it was. It was in the UK. It was during the miners' strike that had actually happened
Oh,
in the UK.
that makes
And so
sense.
during the UK miners' strike, the LGSM would raise money and support the striking miners,
I
who
love that.
were incredibly shocked, but also super, super, super grateful. And later, the mining community would help back the LGBTQIA plus for their rights. And the solidarity showed between the queerness, or between, queer folks and the miners, it showed that queerness wasn't isolated. And it's all a part of broader struggles against oppression.
I love that. I've never heard of that before. That's so surprising.
Hmm.
I love that. I love learning things. And I love that you've given
Period.
me an opportunity to learn cool things like that. I'm gonna go tell my friends after the stream. That's really
Oh
neat.
yeah, I'm glad. I'm very excited. You get to talk about the miners.
Oh, I just thought of the scene from Smiling Friends. I love kids, Charlie. I love minors.
Don't say that.
No,
Don't
so
say that.
oh my lord, somebody would clip that.
I'm like, oh, okay, well,
I love
but
hitting
yes,
rocks and stones with sticks.
I
Minors do more
love
than
hitting
that.
rocks and stones with sticks. Miners
Yes.
also like hitting rocks and stones with sticks.
We love mine ears.
Mine ears.
Mine ears. Yeah, that's
And
really
so
cool.
it's a fun little fact. It's a fun little fact about the UK and the miners' strike that I thought was very intriguing.
That is. Honestly, the only thing I
And
know about the UK is how much I miss Maltesers.
what what is
It's
that?
a candy. I lived in Germany for a long time, so we'd get
Okay,
London
I'm
candy.
gonna be so honest. I thought you said lot lizards, and I was
Lot
like, oh.
lizard. No, I know what that is, and that is most certainly not what I was talking about.
I was like,
No.
you miss them?
Oh,
You miss them?
I miss
No?
them. Me as a young lad. Mm,
Hello, what the fuck?
no.
I just got a 5-star in Genshin.
Oh, holy shit. That's awesome. I think.
I
That's like great,
random
right?
random one tool. Yeah, I just got a D loot.
Let me see. Oh, they're really cute.
He's a little cunty. He's a little Cuntalina Jolie Vasquez.
I know one character from this game, and it's the witch, the purple witch.
Oh, Lisa?
Yep. She's the only
Is it
character
because
I
she
know.
moans?
It's because my friend who plays this game was like, "You'd like the witch," and showed it to me.
And you're like, yes,
Yes, I do
yes.
love the purple witch. That's
Show
all
them
I
to
know
me
about
again, please.
Genshin. Yes, play through her dialogue again, please. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Very pretty looking character.
Yes.
And very cool about
Love,
the
love. The
queer people.
Minears.
Yeah, the queer people with the mine ears.
The Minears.
Yes.
So, let me do this real quick.
No worries.
Do you know of some of the pre-colonial queer identities that have survived colonialism?
I know one. and I might know more, but not off the top of my head. I know about Two Spirit.
Okay, yes.
Um,
Yes.
there's I don't remember what it's called, but it's a Maori gender, and it's very similar to Two Spirit,
Hmm.
and I don't know what it's called. And those are
Yeah.
the only
So
two that I can think of at the moment.
that is a-okay. That is very valid, honestly. So we have obviously the 2S, two spirit. We have the Katoi, also known as the effeminate, mask presenting individuals, also known as ladyboys within, um, their culture. We also have South Asian Hydra. We also have the Mukes from Mexico, from Oaxaca. And then we also have the Fa'afafini from Samoa.
Ooh, there's so many of us.
Yes, yes, there are,
That
and
makes
we've
me
all
happy.
survived. We've all survived colonialism, which, tying back in horror, could also be said to be the true monster in all of this.
Oh, I think that's an understatement. I think that's a bit of an understatement, but I will agree.
I mean, I do agree, but just a little horror tie-in right there.
Yeah.
And so now we are here to sort of bring everything back together again. And so we're on our last little bit of questions, and I wanted to thank you again, Kale, for being such a slay amazing guest.
Thank you so much for you know, inviting me and saying yes, I want you to come in and talk.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it. It's not only been wonderful to just talk about stuff that I'm passionate about, but also to learn a bunch. It's
I am
important.
a huge advocate for learning, as I literally teach for a living, so
Yeah. I almost became a teacher. Yeah. So,
valid
me too.
validity. For our next little segment, we're going to be talking about how do you think, or why do you think horror and queerness are so coded together?
I think an easy one sentence answer, which is obviously not what this is going to turn into, is that with everything that queer people have to go through, it's easy to not only find comfort in stories that we can relate to, but also create stories that we can relate to. With not only the like the horrors of living, especially you know with a government that friggin' hates you sometimes, um, but
Mhm,
also
mhm.
just the inherent experience of being quote unquote different than the quote unquote norm. Um, it's you find stories that you can live in, and sometimes it's just good to see some asshole get stabbed.
Period.
Sometimes it's yeah, that person was a dick. You know?
Period. Period. No, I completely understand that. I'm like, yeah, I do be loving a good asshole getting stabbed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that would have been Scream 5 actually, which I just said I didn't like earlier. Um, there's a character that gets stabbed in Scream 5 at the very beginning that deserved it.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you're talking
Um,
about.
Kyle Gallner's character.
Hmm.
Fantastic actor. He was also Quentin Smith in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I like Kyle
I know
Gallner a
exactly
lot.
what you're talking about.
I
I
follow him on
literally, okay,
Twitter.
Ooh, I showed my partner Scream 5.
Hmm.
I showed him, and what am I doing? Why am I in this little robot? What the heck? What the heck, Yana?
It's cute though. It looks like a
I'm
Roomba.
so confused. It really is. It really is a Roomba, honestly. Like, oh, hello?
So cute.
I really don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh, it's a
But okay.
cleaning bot. It is a Roomba.
It is Roomba. The Roomba-tastic. I
I
think I
have
was just
no
supposed to do that. I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea what you're doing, so I can't help you.
No clue. I'm like, something or other.
Yeah,
Anyways, I showed my husband Scream 5 because it was on whatever streaming platform.
you're right.
Um
One of the 50.
and yes, because he had never seen the actual Scream, and I was like, well, I mean, this we can at least do this.
That's crazy. Yeah. Original Scream is so good.
It is. I want to show him, but I can't find I can't find where to watch it for free.
I have an online copy I can send to you. Legally
Yeah.
acquired, mind you. Yeah, no, I'll send it to you after stream. That way you can sign in and you can watch all four of them that I have. I think I have
That's
5 and 6 as well.
right.
Or I don't think 6 is. No, 6 is out, right?
Yes, I think so.
I think we have 6. I know we have 5 as well. But no, I watched 5 in the theaters with my mother. We
Hmm.
cried, and you know why we cried.
It's true. It's true.
Pissed me off. I have strong opinions about 5, and it's mostly because of that one scene.
Hmm.
I start crying again on
Oh
stream.
no, I start crying. Oh no.
You're gonna cry, and then I'm gonna cry, and then we're all gonna cry. The Craft is what that's from.
Literally. Oh my god, he's never seen The Craft either.
Stop.
I
You know,
know. I'm just like,
all great movies relating to queerness.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, if it's okay for me to just keep yapping, um,
Hmm.
when I was in the kitchen getting myself water, I realized that I'm wearing a shirt with a horror character on it. Um, and
Oh,
it's changed everything. I changed my answer about who my favorite character is because I forgot I was wearing this shirt. Um, I am wearing a
okay.
shirt
Sorry,
with
Sydney.
Alien on it, with a xenomorph from Alien. And I
Oh.
take back everything I said because I always think of that movie as a sci-fi first and a horror second.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I do. Um,
I can see that.
so I changed my answer. I changed my answer. The xenomorph
I can
is
see
my
that.
favorite horror character, my favorite slasher, my favorite final girl, my favorite horror movie.
Favorite everything.
Yeah, and that movie is a fantastic commentary on oh god, so many things. I mean, there's a trans character in the first movie that is confirmed to be trans in the second. And there's commentary relating to that character. What is that character's name? I'm remembering the actress. Okay, there we go. Joan Lambert. I was thinking of the actress instead of the character. Joan Lambert is in the first movie, and Lambert is canonically trans, as revealed in the second movie. Um, and there's well, if you've not seen Alien, it's a very old movie. It's not my fault if you haven't seen it. I'm about to spoil it. Uh, Lambert dies, unfortunately, to the xenomorph. But if you know anything about Alien, you probably knew that anyways. And with Lambert being trans, it adds a really fascinating level to her death. Because she is the only character that dies pantsless. Um, and it with the inherent connection between sexuality, not in the sense of like being gay or being straight or whatever, but in the term of sex, sexualness, um, with the inherent connection between sexuality and well and sex, to Alien and Lambert being queer, it adds this very interesting and devastating layer that kind of discusses queer violence and the increased rates of murder, assault, um, you know, violent crimes that I thought would be very interesting to bring up.
That is honestly really, really interesting to bring up. I didn't even think about that
Mhm,
when watching Alien. And I think it's very interesting to mention as well, because in a time, especially right now where queer violence is so unfortunately prevalent, it can be hard, especially as queer folks, seeing everything going on.
mhm,
Like when we talk about queerness and we talk about the inherent violence when it comes to queerness, it's not because queer people are violent at all. It's because of the violence done against us.
mhm,
And I think people often confuse that, and why it's so prevalent when we talk queer talks about queer topics, that violence usually comes up is because people are afraid. Again, this is going really back into like that othering that a lot of, different horror movies and horror elements and whatnot have, is because of the differences that we have as being queer folks.
mhm.
And it can be really hard, especially when talking about, these different things, because oh, why can't I get that? Because when we're talking about these different things, it's really hard to even bring up.
Mhm. Yeah.
I do this one. Because it can get very graphic very
Yeah.
easily, you know?
Yeah.
And not for like anyone's fault or anything like that. It just it is. It is what
Yeah.
it is. It really, really is.
Violence is violent.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it feels obvious to say that, but it's still hard to talk about. Um
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually, you know, part of it is the public view, the public opinion of sex itself.
Yeah.
Um, like actually, even when we were talking about Teeth earlier, the film Teeth,
Mm-hmm.
and I was bringing up vagina dentata. I didn't say any of that. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's
It's so fun to say.
vagina dentata. Yeah, but no, that's what it's called in history because it's actually prevalent in religious texts. Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but even then, I didn't even realize it until like now. But I didn't. I just said like, oh, she's got teeth. You know where. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to
Mm-hmm.
do that. But it's really fascinating public perception. Um, and that public opinion and perception of sex itself honestly lends itself very negatively towards queer people, even if the queer person's not talking about sex or isn't even related to sex in any way, shape, or form, because of
Mm-hmm.
how long it was like a sex repulsion and like a sex crime. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. Which unfortunately is something that, we really, I don't want to say like should think about, but also it's something that's just very prevalent in queer media and in media in general. Obviously, like sex sells. It is something that has been very, very prevalent in various forms of media and
Especially
various
in
forms
modern
of
times.
literature. Exactly. That when we think about these different things, we also think about, what is going on beneath that. Why are we using, this one of the most vulnerable forms of one of the most vulnerable forms of what do you call it?
Closeness,
One of the
affection.
most vulnerable forms of close affection. Thank you. I was like, what the fuck is that word?
I was like, it's one of those things, probably.
That was one of those. It was yeah, of affection, and honestly, people make it seem as if it's something that should be criminalized,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of the things that every living being has in common. You know, like
Well, but it's okay when some people do it, obviously.
exactly.
It's only
Only
okay when
some
certain
people.
people do it, and even then, you don't really talk about it because then you're,
Exactly, and it's like
some horrible name. It's absurd.
exactly. And so I think that kind of goes into a good segue into one of our final questions of what does queer reclamation of horror look like to you, Kale?
I think, first of all, we should kill all the straight characters. No, that'd be fucked up. No. um, I think on a much more genuine note, I had to throw somebody off guard. Um, Having openly queer characters, just baseline, fantastic place to start. And I don't mean just, oh yeah, the actor says that they're gay. No, no, no. I want
Mm-hmm.
them to say they're gay in the movie. I want them to kiss somebody of the same gender on the mouth, Or I want them to be I'm non-binary or be referred to using they them or just anything. I want explicit representation. That is a
Like gay what
fantastic
she said.
place to start. Say gay now. um
Say gay.
I'm uh recommending the Say Gay bill. Every single
As
TV
opposed
show,
to
every single
yes.
movie, every single video game, you have to have one character that says gay and is gay. No. Well, actually, I don't know. Then this
I'm here
wouldn't
for it.
necessarily be a
I'm
bad
here
thing.
for
But I think just oh my god, baseline.
it. Mm-hmm.
Having more openly queer characters would be so helpful. But that goes for every movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think something that would be really interesting is, and this requires a touch of delicacy, properly displaying queer experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be something as simple as maybe a trans character is going through a trans-coded experience. Maybe the doctor from The Fly is a trans woman or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, and again, this kind of goes into just put queer people in your fucking movies, man. But like, also
Exactly.
queer actors and actresses and act people. We need better new gender neutral words. Okay, one of my favorite actors is Chaz Bono. That is the son of Cher, and he is a trans man. He is
Mm-hmm.
fucking hilarious. Dude is amazing. I want to see him in everything. That's what I'm proposing. Chaz Bono and everything.
Has Bono and everything.
Chaz Bono and everything.
Has
But
Bono in the new Scream.
there are so many queer actors and actresses, and again, act people. We need to be more inclusive. Our queer representation should not have to be Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich joking about their characters being a gay in a movie from however long ago. I can't do math. We should see them kiss on screen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We shouldn't have
Exactly.
to imagine our own um inclusivity.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And I do want to say, also, I think that having these, characters in media, why wouldn't it happen? It does nothing against any sort of plot. If anything, it helps plots
Yeah.
because the character is actually queer and they're actually a queer person portraying that character.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when there's, queer characters that are inherently super, super, super queer, but they are now being played by non-queer folks.
Yeah.
Also, later, Chong, thank you for coming in. We're actually just about to wrap up with
Mhm.
this final question, and I want to thank you again, Carol, for being such an absolutely amazing guest and for being so fun today. I needed this.
I needed this too. With nonstop planning and work, I just needed to sit and play Minecraft and talk about something with somebody I care about.
Exactly. We got this. We got this with each other because
Mm.
we're so good. We're so slay like that.
We are
We're
beautiful
chunky
and
fam.
nothing bad can happen to us because we are beautiful.
Period. So, Carol, for our final question, I will exit the hellscape that is Genshin Impact.
I'm gonna cut down this tree and then
What?
I will also exit
I mean,
the
I
the
meant exit as in
finescape,
like
to be honest.
tabbing it. um, but what is one lesson queer history has taught you?
um the worst thing that can happen if I am true to myself is some undead monster coming back to life and stabbing me in the gut. No.
Oh,
No. um, being yourself while you have the time is more important than anything else. Be
hmm.
yourself unapologetically. And this is something that actually I hold very near and dear to my heart, and it is related quite heavily to my branding and everything as well. The final girl code: do it alone, do it scared, but do it.
Period. I love that. I love that so much.
I'm gonna
I
find the
want to thank you again,
exact.
Carol. Oh, the exact quote,
Yeah, okay, do it alone, do it scared, and do it with a knife in your hand if you have to.
but do it.
But do it. Yep. And I know that sounds like super silly, but it is very meaningful. It's a very meaningful quote to me.
Yeah. I don't think it's silly. I think it's something that, you care about.
Yeah, and it's honestly the reason why I ended up choosing like a final girl as like my branding and my theme. I was like, yeah, that's special to me.
I
But
love
yeah,
that.
even when you think you're alone, you're not. You can take that as a threat or as a promise of friendship.
Correct.
But yeah, no,
I love that.
self-expression and being yourself is really what I think the lesson should be from most queer horror movies.
Honestly, I love that. I love that though. I
Also,
think
thank you,
honestly,
Husband Chuwu.
hmm?
Thank you, Husband Chu, for the follow. And it was nice meeting you too.
Slay. All right, Kale. Are you ending here as well?
Yeah, yeah. I
Would you
am
like to do
sweaty
a
and tired.
joint raid?
Oh my gosh, yes! That would be awesome. Should I raid you and then you raid them?
Slay. Oh, I was just gonna raid. I was gonna raid with you, or you can do that. You can do that if you would like to.
I don't know. I'm excited.
We can raid the same person.
I do have a really good friend of mine that I would like to raid, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I was
Um,
literally just about to ask you if you had any suggestions for who to raid.
yeah, so I would like to suggest my friend Goth Gamer Goblin. Their name is Fran, and they are
Fun.
ADHD and queer, and I love them so much. And they helped me a lot with my subathon coming up. So I need to pay them back.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much.
And I will put it in chat just so that you have their name. I mean, I know it is fairly phonetic, but
Mhm.
for
Yes, I
posterity's sake.
love. I love Fran. We can definitely go in and give Fran some love.
They're such a sweetie pie, and I get to stream with them on the 16th, and I'm really so excited. I love streaming with
Slay.
my
So before we
friends.
go, before we go, I have a special little raid message. Obs,
Okay.
obs. And then also for anyone looking to go ahead and donate and anything this LGBT History Month, we have all of these amazing charities and organizations from Lambda Legal, GSA Network, the Pride Foundation, the Trevor Project, and the Trans Lifeline. Among many others, these are just some that I am a little bit more familiar with. But I am, let's see, Goth, Gamer, Goblin. There we go. Alrighty. There we go. I'm ready to raid in about 8 seconds. You just let me know. Let
Okay.
me know.
I would also just like to mention one more charity that I'm a really big fan of. The Human Rights Campaign has done a lot, especially lately, to create an impact on the world and to benefit and support and raise up people of all sorts of minorities and situations and stuff. So I think Human Rights Campaign is also really good. They are
Oh
personally
yeah,
vetted
let's
by me and my
go.
family for the past 10 years.
I love that so much. Oh yeah. Let us go and give Fran all the love, all the love.
Yes, I am ready to go.
Oh my god, guys. I will see y'all again tomorrow with another interview. I think. I have so many planned. I'm pretty sure we have one. We're gonna be there. See you later.
Bye, everyone. Don't forget to eat some food, drink some water, take your meds if you need it. Love you. Mwah.